everybody. I'm Eureka John, and you're at Eureka Street Crypto, broadcasting from Leander, Texas. It is April 27th, 2022, and this is episode number 452. This is my crypto show, aka video blog, and this is my brain dump. I'm your Uber driver. I'm your restaurant server. I'm just your local YouTube creator on the ground floor, looking at new projects, looking at cool stuff popping up in the crypto space. The crypto space is developing every single day. I'm just down at the in the front lines, just trying to find anything and everything that just seems cool and interesting. And I got a DM from a person with a DAO called the Open Current DAO, and it's opencurrent.io. And they said, man, you want to come over to our DAO and take a look? And I did. And I looked at the website and I said, man, this is really cool. I'd like to, do an episode on it and talk about it. And he said, well, why don't you interview our founder? So today I have a very special guest, and it is Tom from the opencurrent.io DAO, and he's also the founder of current.com. So I'm glad to have Tom on the show here today.
No, thanks for having me, John. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's begin a little bit. I guess we just want to hear your background, hear a little bit about you, and then maybe what led you to web3 and why you chose to start this project.
Yeah, no, great. Thank you. Career started in large tech enterprise. To be honest, about 30 some odd years ago, I was coming out of college going, what am I going to do? And I just love that technology continues to renew itself. And you didn't need to be somebody that had 20 years of experience to be relevant. And a lot of different industries, or a lot of other industries, were that way. So coming out of college to get into, food services or real estate, it took decades to become relevant at the top level. That all changes with technology because of its continual renewing. That someone that's passionate about a new technology can become center stage relevant in just a matter of months or even or years or even months. So that's what drew me to it. And clearly at the time, it was a very different scene. I naturally ended up in large enterprises like Quest, Avaya, and Oracle, in that order. So, I just love the fact that it was continually renewing. I love that it attracted really smart people. And that it was global. I spent a lot of my time over in Asia Pacific, about 10 years in total. I spent about 3 years in Europe at Madrid, covering EMEA. And then when my family and I returned to Palo Alto, I realized that the corporate environment had little to offer. Now that I wanted to sort of settle down and not be moving around the planet, I wanted to dig in deep and go narrow and deep in a certain area. And so I was drawn to this area of knowledge creation that we'll talk more about.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have an impressive resume for sure. And like I said, once again, thanks for coming on this little small potatoes show. It's a little bit out of my league, but no, I mean, I do kind of feel sometimes, with the YouTubers and, all these content creators coming into the Web3 and crypto space, we are kind of like the Uber drivers and the restaurant servers talking to people, who come through and, are well established in the industry. And a lot of the people like me and Uber drivers and restaurant servers and stuff, we do a ton of self-study. There's a wealth of knowledge. There's a gold mine of knowledge that and these people like me, may be OGs in online communities and in Discord groups and stuff like that, and they finish their jobs and then they go home and suddenly they're the cock of the walk in whatever group that they walk into. And so there's a wealth of knowledge, and they a lot of times would not be considered professionals, by a lot of, I guess, product and market research agencies and stuff like that. And you can find a lot of these people's threads on Reddit, and a lot of Web2 social media platforms and communities. And but for, I guess, a company like current.io and other Okay, first of all, I want to ask you, what is current.io from the perspective of somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about market research and product development and stuff like that? Like where,
Yeah.
yeah, what type
So
of information does that provide?
let me reflect on a couple of things you said, and then I'll take that into what is current.com, which is a Web2 platform, and then I think it'd be helpful for the listeners to know why we're moving into opencurrent.io. So, which is going to be the Web3 manifest of what we've been doing. So, first off, I like what you're saying around this concept of Uber drivers and servers. I think what you're touching on is this idea that we call the fresh knowledge gap, which is that time, or rather, let's say, change is happening faster than our traditional, what you referred to as professional agencies and such. It's moving faster than our institutions are able to capture, and therefore it does leave room for just anybody to come in and and be at the forefront of that change. And so, where I talked about earlier that coming into a new career, it used to take decades. Now it's not coming into a career; it's coming into a topic. And to be relevant, as you said, to be relevant on a topic can make you the cock of the walk among your peers. And that's because with change happening so fast, not only is it really difficult to capture the change, but it has cachet if you can, meaning it has cachet among our friends. Like if I can go and talk intelligently about the curve wars in Web3, few people can do that because who has the time to stay up on it? It's moving so fast. And so what's happening in this fresh knowledge gap is that, and I often show this angle of static knowledge growing around 6%, but change is happening around 30%. And so you have this gap that that makes it a really attractive place to play, and a very universal place to play, because anybody that can learn fast and has passion can perform in that space. And so we feel, and the reason why I started current.com is that because that gap is growing, and knowledge creation is it's an exercise of people coming together and sharing ideas. And so how do we remove the barriers in enabling people to come together to share ideas on really specific topics? And who would pay for that? And so this concept of a knowledge creator is emerging in that knowledge gap, that resembles very much like artists today, where freelancers don't need a degree to become relevant. They can, or even developers, that they don't need a degree. They don't need somebody to ordain them. They can just go and do. Knowledge creation is becoming much like that, but we still need others to have a healthy friction to like spark better ideas, right? Because these topics are moving so fast, we do need diverse groups, often curated groups, to come together and through a process create something of value. And so that's what current.com does. So think about current.com as, very simply, like the simplest way to think about it is expert focus groups online. It's people coming together that are handpicked to come and help solve a problem or provide insights on a very narrow topic. And what we find is that through this past 6 years of doing this, enterprises have an insatiable appetite for fresh knowledge, because that is where relevance is determined or product market fit is established. So long story short, current.com makes bespoke panels of experts. And our business model has always been helping clients find the group of experts. So we use AI to do it. We bring the people together on our platform in an asynchronous discussion that's managed by a facilitator. So there's a professional moderator. And then content developers create the reports and content that comes off of it. It could be white papers, it could be podcasts, could be blog posts. So what we're doing is we're basically condensing the space for companies to engage with real world experts that might even reflect their customers and learn faster.
Okay, so a corporation, a company, enterprise would be able to buy the service and log in to their dashboard and see very topical pinpointed, laser focused samples of research compiled by experts that the current.com has put together, correct?
Yeah.
And that way they're not wasting their time and they're willing to pay for that, right? So that's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And
So
that's a
that's
trusted authority, a business to business type of example, correct?
yeah. We've helped over 100 Fortune 500 companies engage with teams of experts outside their own walls to either solve problems or achieve some market intelligence that they didn't have before. So yeah, it's a tried and true methodology for 7 years. We're the only one that applies machine learning and AI to bring those groups together. So the teams are always fresh. So we're finding these people out in the blogosphere and we're bringing them back into these small groups. And then when the conversation's over, it vanishes. Everybody goes their own direction. Which actually, John, is sort of why we're doing opencurrent.com. I'm sorry, .io, and moving to Web3.
Yeah, that was my next question. So you're already kind of gathering out of this worldwide pool of people in the the Ethernet, the internet, and now you're taking it a step deeper with Web 3.0,
Yeah,
and it's really going deeper into the communities and allowing people a
yeah,
platform to form their own focus groups
there you
as
go.
DAOs within the DAO, as sub
That's right.
DAOs, correct?
Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly it. Web 2 has some flaws. In Web 2, people are the product. There's only two businesses in the world that refer to their customers as users, and one are drug dealers, and the other are Web 2 platforms. So therein lies part of the flaw. It's like set up to bilk the intelligence from people and resell it and with large markup. And that model's existed ever since consulting, the world's second oldest profession, I often call it, where we're harvesting knowledge from people and marking that up and reselling it. Web3 allows us to change that model and let the people be the owners of the insight. And so Web3 or blockchain is solving three unique problems that we have with current.com. One is coordination. As you just pointed out, John, people do want to come together and create their own insights, but what they need is a trust that doesn't entail lawyers and a whole bunch of contracts. And so we can achieve that with smart contracts with very simple settings on the platform. A team can come together and say, this is our mission. This is how we're going to jointly own it, meaning jointly own the insights. And that becomes immutable over time. So that's number one. The coordination problem gets solved with blockchain. Number two is recognition. And people want immutable recognition. So imagine if you come, John, into a group of people that are experts on podcasting, on advanced and innovative concepts, and you're a part of that group that's building the best practices playbook for how to do that. Well, you're gonna, through the smart contract, you're gonna own a portion of that based on what was determined. But also, you're going to earn through that validation from the other peers in that group that you do make a lot of sense, that your ideas do have merit. And therefore, that's like a badge, right? That's like a validation. It's a peer validation that you know what you're talking about in that topic. And therefore, you should have points earned, or essentially tokens earned on your profile, right? And those tokens don't get transferred. Those are tokens that reflect who you are, but they are transferable, meaning if you move into, say, Decentraland and you're in a conversation there and you want to show your chops on that topic, they're portable, let's say that. So they're not transferable, but they're portable. So that's the second thing that blockchain solves in this is that immutable, portable recognition. And we can do that through a combination of tokens and NFTs. The third and final sort of breakthrough that blockchain has on what we're calling the knowledge verse is incentives. Clearly, if I'm going to pay pay you a few cents on the effort to come and share. That's not that attractive. It doesn't feel that rewarding. But if you own the content or jointly own, you're going to earn a much bigger portion of the value. And that value, rather than be represented in fiat currency, it can be represented in cryptocurrency, which gives you all sorts of flexibility of staking that or holding it until you have more to get onto like a higher tier, and then exchange. So it just gives us many more tools for returning reward and value back to the individual creator. So to recap, it's coordination, it's recognition, and it's incentives. And those three combined is what we're saying are sort of the pillars of the knowledge verse that didn't exist and now will in the shape of opencurrent.io.
I really like the way you explain that. And the whole joining a group of podcasters and creating a best practices guide. That's a product, and somebody could product. And as one of the contributors to that, I mean, maybe that could be an NFT and then sell that, and then the creators of that automatically receive royalties. I mean,
that's the idea, right? So not only receive royalties, but have the opportunity to come back and continue to refresh it. So there's two types of research or knowledge for sale today. One is called bespoke, which means it's designed and developed specifically for one customer. And once it's done, the project's over, customer goes away, agency goes away. The other kind is syndicated, which is like Gartner, right? They produce a report. That same exact report gets sold 1,000 times to different people. The problem is, in both cases, both in bespoke or in syndicated, knowledge is expiring so fast that your playbook for podcasting would probably become irrelevant in about 2 months, maybe 3. And so with this new mechanism, it allows you and your team to come back and keep it fresh and come back and update your playbook on a regular basis. And therefore, it changes the whole buying behavior, right? Rather than buying a report one time, I can now opt into a subscription that I'm going to buy the John report. I'm going to get the John report every refresh, just like we get software refreshed on our phone. Why wouldn't we get knowledge automatically refreshed as well?
So each time the NFT is updated by a contributor, and even a new contributor could jump in and add in, a part, and then they could suddenly become a part of that royalty process as well. So that's really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about all the topics out there that are moving at lightning speed, and even ones that didn't move that fast a decade ago that are today. And the ones that today aren't moving very fast, but that within just a few years they will be. So that really is the knowledge verse, is that fast moving, highly nuanced knowledge space that's expanding rapidly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been working for years in various machine shops and factories, and we follow engineering specifications, ISA, ASME, and stuff like that. And those guides and those books are really expensive, several $100s, just for a set of standards. And they get updated every year. And every year the corporations have to go and buy new copies, and they charge a lot because they know the corporations are going to be buying. And could be a really good way to kind of allow the people who are actually contributing that to own it, rather than ASME or ISA or these standards institutes as well. And that's what relates in my head, coming from my background. So let's talk a little bit about the token part of it. The current token. You have the current token, and you have the proof of passion token, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you remember the 3 unlocks that we talked about, 2 are the recognition and the incentive. So the top proof of passion is really the recognition token. So that's the non-transferable but portable validation of peer validation of knowledge. So you receive that through the interactions of your peers. The currency token is the transferable, tradable, liquidatable token.
Okay, so one's fungible and one's non-fungible.
Uh, yeah, I think I think that's exactly right. The
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it reminds me of the POAPs that I'm a big part of the Bankless DAO, and whenever we
Okay.
attend a meeting, we
Love
get a
banking.
POAP, proof of attendance protocol badge,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
let everybody design the POAPs and take turns in it.
Hmm.
And with
Hmm.
the Web3 wallets and MetaMask, you can build up a collection of POAPs, and in a way
Yeah.
that becomes your resume. It becomes your
Yeah.
curriculum vitae that you can take around and plug in. And so, if you want a Web3 job, you don't necessarily have to show all some big Word document paper resume. All they have to do is look at your Web3 wallet and look at your POAPs and see what type of projects you've been involved in and NFTs
Hmm.
that represent that. So I'm supposing that these proof of passion tokens can kind of have it right along the same vein there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the only twist might be whereas POAPs are proof of attendance, we really focus on recognition from peers. So on the platform today, even on current.com, the Web2 platform, if somebody makes a comment but is ignored, they don't earn any points.
Okay.
If they make a comment that's debated, even, or people all disagree with it, it still earns points because it was valid enough that it caused people to add on to it. So we don't give we don't give credit to attendance. We give credit to being recognized by your peers.
To
And
stir in the pot.
yeah, I mean, what we see is absolutely. I mean, we think a lot about healthy friction. When you build a team, when you curate a group of people, you actually don't want a team of all like-minded folks. You want to
Sure.
have a healthy friction, an alchemy of varying perspectives. So when we design teams, we think about that. In the open current.io world, AI will manage a lot of that. It'll recommend the next best people or group of people to add to your group to create more tension. So by learning about and recording through POP, as we call it, or proof of passion, we can learn a lot about who brings what to the room. We can also learn through meta layers of how people collaborate. You want some people that surface a lot of ideas. You also need people that go much narrower and think slower and go deeper on fewer ideas. So there's all sorts of ways to measure alchemy among a team that we can do intelligently on a platform that we couldn't do in the real world space, so to speak, or face-to-face space.
Okay. Yeah, that is really amazing. So walk me through a little bit of what it would be like to go into the website and I
Yeah.
guess next you connect your wallet and
Yeah,
is
you
this Ethereum based?
uh, the plan is for it to be Ethereum
Okay.
based, but that final decision will be a decision made by the DAO itself. But yeah, we're designing the DAO token to be Ethereum based, and I also think that in the future we'll see that it's less of a big deal to be on one network or another. I think today, just because of a weakness between bridges and whatnot, there's it feels like a big decision to say what platform you'll be on, but we think that that'll mellow out over time. And but yes, the idea is that people do sign up with their wallets. They can create a pseudonym or be known as only a pseudonym. They're there to either share knowledge. They might be there to create a bounty for knowledge, meaning, I need to know something, right? I've got tokenomics I need to be reviewed. I want to post that and have maybe teams apply to it or individuals apply to creating a new group around it. So yeah, there's knowledge providers. We think of them as knowledge creators, and then there's people creating bounties. There's also just learners, because maybe I'm not yet ready to be at the caliber of a creator, meaning I'm learning still. Maybe I just want to watch. I just want to watch and learn, almost like people listen to Clubhouse. They can come and follow a sub DAO or follow a group of people that are creating knowledge on a topic of interest, and through that learn. Learning is also recognized on the platform through POAP because exposure to knowledge does matter. And interacting with that, we believe learning happens through interaction. So we'll create light interactions for learners to demonstrate that they're engaged with what's being discussed and said, and receive proof of passion for that.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, most of the people when in DAOs are lurkers, at least to start with.
Yeah.
And really, there's only about 10%, I guess, if on a good day, of people that actually vote in DAOs. Do you think
I haven't seen the stats, and my guess is it's going to be all over the board.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we learned anything from network effects, there's a very small people that are actually creating the insights, and a whole lot of people that are watching it happen.
But one thing that Open Current does is those proof of passion points, or those tokens, as being governance tokens, don't you get a higher influence the more proof of passion tokens you have?
Yeah, that's right. Well, to be eligible to vote, you have to stake your currency.
Okay.
And the reason why we do this is because we want people long-term invested in the platform. Sure. And so staking is a great mechanism to keep people, rather than just all the time cashing out their points and selling them in the open market, to hang on to them, because that'll give them more control on the platform. But POP is the amplifier. So, so you and I might have the same amount of currency staked, but if you have more POP, it creates multipliers for your voting rights.
Cool. All right. Well, we're approaching the end of the time here, and I really appreciate you coming on. Any final thoughts on where people can find either you or Open Current and all that info?
Yeah, the best place to start is probably opencurrent.io. This is the where the wind is blowing, and that is where you can come and see a 2-minute video that explains the project. You can link to our Discord and start poking around there, and you can raise your hand and get into some task forces on our Discord, even meet some of the team, have one-on-one conversations to think about where your efforts can best apply to the DAO and what rewards you would gain for doing that. So we've got a really practical approach to this. We want to put good, smart people that believe in this project to work immediately, because this is, as we said, very much needed in the knowledge verse.
Right on. And once again, thanks so much for this time. This is going to be a really good episode, I can already tell. And this is an amazing explanation of kind of a complex topic. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, John. It's been a great opportunity. And I think your listeners should know that I'm not in the doghouse. I'm actually in a boathouse. So I always feel a little funny hosting meetings from here, but
we should have did a multiple choice quiz or an open-ended question. Where do you think Tom O'Malley is?
Yeah, I think.
Where in the world is Tom O'Malley?
Maybe you could edit that and turn it into a contest. What kind of structure is Tom in? Yeah.
Thank you for making it to the end of this program. If you actually like this content, give a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more, just hit the subscribe button. I'm available on YouTube, Odyssey, and BitChute, and on all the major podcasting platforms in audio version. Spotify specifically. If you would like to follow and leave a review, that would help a lot. I am also available on Twitter at EurekaJohn1. That's EUREKA John, JOHN, and the number 1. My DMs are always open. Feel free to shoot me a message. Thanks again.